You know that feeling, right? You're putting in all the effort, working harder than maybe ever before. You're reading, learning, pushing.
Yeah.
And yet it feels like you're just, I don't know, running in place. That breakthrough you're aiming for, it just doesn't seem to click. It's incredibly frustrating. It makes you wonder if you're missing something huge.
Yeah, and what if that missing piece isn't about more effort? What if it's about how your internal operating system is set up, especially right now in 2025? I mean, think about the speed of AI change, the creator economy shifts, all the global stuff. It's a totally different ballgame than just a few years back.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like your brain might be running on, say, 2020 software.
Yeah.
But you're trying to navigate this like 2025 reality code. All that hard work, your ambition, it can hit a kind of ceiling because the internal wiring just isn't matched up anymore. Yeah. It's not that you're not smart, not dedicated. It might just be you're using old tools for brand new challenges.
Well, welcome to the deep dive. We're going deep into the insights you've shared with us, looking at happiness, success. But today, we're laser focused. How do these kind of timeless ideas apply specifically to the really urgent dynamic stuff you're facing right now in 2025?
Yeah, our mission here is to pull out the really actionable stuff from these insights, the strategies that feel like they can help you, well, literally update that internal programming. It's not about fixing something broken. It's more like installing the necessary upgrades, you know?
And the core idea that keeps coming up is that our brains, they build these patterns based on what we've done most in the past. And sure, that worked fine then. But the sheer speed of change now means holding on to those old ways can actually hold you back. We need to figure out how to build new pathways, more adaptive ones.
And the really cool part is this isn't just like theory or positive thinking fluff. The info you provided grounds this stuff in solid approaches. It shows how doing specific things deliberately can genuinely change how your brain works over time. It's action leading to internal shifts.
Okay, so let's dive into the first big insight that emerges. It starts with facing a pattern lots of us get caught in. Let's call it the failure loop.
Oh, the failure loop. Wow, yeah. That feels very 2025 sometimes, doesn't it? It's that voice inside, right? Always pointing out what's wrong, what you haven't done, what you lack compared to everyone else online, maybe. Your brain gets really good at finding the problems.
Exactly. And the insight suggests gratitude is this surprisingly strong counter weapon. It's not just a nice emotion, it's a real tool against that negativity bias we all have. It's not just for Thanksgiving dinner, you know. It's like daily mental fitness.
Okay, so what's the science saying? What's actually happening in the brain?
Well, the research indicates that deliberately practicing gratitude, like regularly, it does more than just make you appreciate stuff. It actually encourages savoring positive experiences. You basically train your brain to hit pause, notice the good, and kind of amplify it. And this process directly feeds into higher happiness levels, gives you more energy, and crucially, it boosts your sense of self-worth. Because you're acknowledging the value you already have, the progress you are making.
Right. Okay, so connect that directly to 2025. Why is this so vital right now?
Because, like you said, the current environment, it's practically engineered to trigger that failure loop. Constant social media showing these perfect highlight reels. It's an endless comparison machine. Add the pressure to constantly create, innovate, stay ahead with AI. Your brain just defaults to scarcity. What your competitor has, what you're missing, skills you don't have yet.
The scarcity trap is just exhausting.
It really is. And gratitude. It acts like a critical circuit breaker. By consciously shifting your focus, just for a bit, you force your brain to see the progress you have made, the resources you do possess, the abundance that actually exists alongside the scarcity. You're actively fighting that negative default setting.
Okay, so the actionable plan. How do we actually do this rewiring? What's the practical step?
It starts small, but consistency is key. The suggestion is a daily gratitude practice, specifically writing down 3 specific things you're genuinely grateful for. And the trick is, do it first thing, morning. Before you grab the phone, before the world's noise and comparisons flood in, it trains your brain to actively seek out and lock onto the wins, however small, right from the start of the day.
I like that. Anchoring the day in something positive before the digital onslaught. Do we have examples, people who embody this?
Absolutely. I mean, think about someone like Oprah Winfrey. Her story is full of massive challenges, immense pressure. But her consistent public talk about gratitude, finding blessings, keeping perspective, even when things are tough, people often point to that as a core part of her resilience. Her ability to navigate all that while building something huge. It suggests this internal practice isn't just a nice side effect of success, it's something that actively supports it.
That's a really strong connection. Okay, so building on that, cultivating that positive internal state. The material then shifts to takeaway number 2, actively building optimism. And importantly, this isn't just hoping for the best, right? It's an intentional practice.
Yes, exactly. The research really stresses that optimism isn't just some fixed personality trait. It's a cognitive skill. You can learn it, practice it. And the insights link this ability, the ability to think positively about the future, directly to your potential for success.
How does the science behind that work?
It points to things like visualizing your best possible self, and also learning to actively challenge or reframe pessimistic thoughts when they pop up. By doing this, you're basically training your brain to scan for possibilities, for solutions, instead of just dwelling on potential problems. And people who cultivate this, they tend to set bigger goals because they genuinely believe they can reach them. Plus, they're way better at handling stress and setbacks because they see them as temporary hurdles, not, permanent failures.
Okay, and why is that kind of optimism so crucial right now in 2025?
Because, let's face it, the current climate, it's a breeding ground for anxiety, for fear. Rapid tech changes, AI disruption, economic wobbles. It's just so easy to slip into a pessimistic view. And fear is paralyzing. It kills creativity, stops you from taking necessary risks. It makes you pull back right when you probably need to lean in.
So building optimism is kind of like building immunity to the era's volatility.
That's a great way to put it, exactly. And this is where the idea of mental rehearsal comes in as a really powerful tool. It's not just idle daydreaming, it's structured visualization. The material frames it as consciously pre-programming your brain. By vividly imagining the outcomes you want, you're actually creating neural pathways that make those futures feel more real, more reachable. It's like making future memories that guide your actions now. This mental practice can genuinely speed up progress because your brain is already aimed at the target.
Okay, so the action plan here is specific too.
Yep. Just 5 minutes, maybe each evening before sleep. Close your eyes and vividly imagine achieving one of your big goals for 2025. But don't just think about it, feel it. What does it look like? Sound like? Who's there? What's a feeling in your gut at that moment of success? Use all your senses. Doing this regularly builds those pathways. It makes the future feel less like a maybe and more like, like it's already on its way.
When you talk about that, someone like Elon Musk comes to mind. He paints these huge, almost unbelievable pictures of the future, right? Mars, EVs, everywhere. Even when facing massive doubts and problems, that core stated optimism about the possibility, it seems to drive everything forward.
Right. His ability to hold that vision, to mentally live in those seemingly impossible futures and talk about them with such conviction, it's often presented as a prime example of how that cultivated optimism, even on a massive scale, can really push the limits of what we think is possible.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. We've covered building positive states, gratitude, optimism.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about clearing out a major obstacle, one that stops us applying that energy effectively, especially with all the input today, overthinking.
Yes, rumination.
Yeah.
The analysis paralysis cycle. The insights you shared are really clear on this. This is a huge drain on happiness and just getting things done. Your brain gets stuck on repeat.
And in 2025, with the constant pings, the endless news feeds, the sheer complexity of, say, figuring out AI, it feels like overthinking is almost the default setting now.
Yeah.
Every choice feels heavier. Every possibility needs endless dissection.
And that leads straight to getting stuck. Analysis paralysis. You get so tangled up in the what ifs, the potential downsides, that you just don't act. For anyone trying to move fast, innovate, grab opportunities in this kind of environment, getting stuck there is fatal. Your frontal lobe, the brain's CEO mode, right? Decision-making, action, it needs to be clear, focused, not bogged down in worry cycles.
So how do we train the brain to snap out of that loop and actually do something?
Well, the material points to a few tactics. One is consciously redirecting your attention, focusing on something productive, even a healthy distraction, instead of just feeding the worry. Another is direct problem solving, shifting from just worrying about it to actively thinking about and trying out solutions. And a big one, managing social comparison, because that often fuels the overthinking about where you fall short.
Okay, give me an action plan. One concrete step someone listening can take.
A classic technique that's relevant here is the 5-second rule. For decisions or tasks you're putting off. When you feel yourself starting to overthink or delay, you literally count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you move. Physically take the first step. It's like a pattern interrupt. It overrides that urge to dwell and pushes you into action. And for the social comparison piece, maybe consciously cut back on feeds that trigger it. Use that time and energy you save for focused work, or actually tackling a problem instead. It's about training the brain. Thought leads to action, quickly.
Yeah, that makes me think of people known for just doing. Like, Alex Hormozy talks constantly about speed of implementation, right? Not waiting for perfect, just acting and figuring it out.
Exactly. His whole approach, as it's often presented, really embodies activating that CEO mode, prioritizing momentum, learning by doing rather than getting stuck thinking about it forever. That ability to cut through the analysis paralysis is framed as a huge factor in rapid growth, especially now.
Okay, so we've got positive states dealing with blockers. What's the final piece of this puzzle, according to the info you've looked at?
It's about building something slightly different. Let's call them success circuits, but they go beyond just you. They're powered by intentional kindness.
Kindness, really? How does being kind build success circuits? That sounds almost counterintuitive in the competitive 2025 landscape. A bit soft, maybe?
And that's exactly why this insight feels so relevant now. The research is quite clear. Doing acts of kindness genuinely boosts happiness for the person doing it and the person receiving it. It builds connection, combats isolation. It encourages a more outward-looking, mindful way of being.
Okay, I get the happiness boost, but how does that translate to, like, building success in the thick of the AI race or the creator economy?
Well, think about the default environment we're often in. Hyper-competitive, right?
Yeah.
Transactional, focused only on metrics, individual wins, trying to build a career or a business purely on that. It often leads to burnout, a lack of real fulfillment, which, let's be honest, isn't sustainable long-term. The insights suggest intentional kindness isn't just charity, it's actually strategic for building something that lasts. Something resilient.
Strategic. How so?
Well, for one, it helps build real solid networks based on mutual support and trust, not just what can you do for me. It fosters amazing loyalty from customers, partners, your team, your community. It creates this positive feedback loop. You put kindness out, kindness often comes back maybe as opportunities, support, open doors. Plus, it fuels your own sense of purpose and well-being, which, guess what? That fuels your energy for hard work and innovation. It builds these deeper, more sustainable success circuits that go beyond just the numbers on a spreadsheet.
So it's like creating a positive microclimate around yourself, in a way.
That's a perfect way to think about it. Exactly. The actionable idea here is to deliberately weave random acts of kindness into your week. Don't just wait to feel inspired. Make it a practice. Schedule it, maybe. It doesn't have to be huge things. Leave a really thoughtful review for a small business. Make a genuine connection between two people you know who could benefit each other. Offer real help to a colleague who looks swamped. Even just a sincere, specific compliment. The key is consistency and variety, just to keep those pathways firing.
Is there an example of this playing out on a bigger scale?
I think the success of companies really built on strong ethical foundations, like Patagonia speaks to this. Their commitment to the environment, to their workers, their community. It isn't just marketing fluff, it seems genuinely core to how they operate. And that intentional kindness, writ large, has built incredible brand loyalty and a really thriving long-term business. It shows that caring genuinely can be a powerful driver of success.
Okay, let's try and tie this all together then. What's the main message weaving through all these insights you've explored?
I think the core theme is this. You're likely not stuck because you lack effort or talent. You might just be running on an internal operating system that needs an update for the very specific challenges and, yes, opportunities of 2025. Real success, real fulfillment in this era, it seems to come from intentionally choosing to rewire, building these new habits of mind, gratitude, optimism, action over rumination, connection through kindness, using these proven strategies.
Right. And doing this work, applying these principles, it isn't just about hitting some external target, is it? It's fundamentally about building a stronger, more resilient, more focused, more creative, and actually happier internal state. And that internal state, that's probably your most powerful asset for navigating and actually thriving in this crazy fast world we're in. You're not just chasing success, you're actively building a better, more capable version of you for whatever comes next.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something to maybe mull over. If you really could treat your brain like a computer for a moment and deliberately delete or overwrite just one outdated program this week, maybe it's that default failure loop, maybe it's the tendency towards pessimism, maybe it's the analysis paralysis habit, or maybe it's a hesitation around intentional connection. Which one would you choose to tackle first?
Yeah, think about which of these strategies we talked about really resonated. Which one felt most urgent or maybe even most exciting for you right now? That could be the perfect starting point for building that crucial new mental circuit for 2025 and beyond.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.